Since I put up a review of the first 7 episodes of Alien Earth, I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to put up an Alien tier list, which has the movies, including the TV show. So let's kick it off without holding back. First Alien goes into Super Alien. I mean, how could it not? It's the first in the franchise. It has a really good mood. The sets are incredible even today. The first chest burster scene is still one of the most unnerving scenes in sci-fi cinema history. It has a great cast. The alien design is the best because it's the one that started it all. It changed throughout the run of this franchise, and but it maintained also its original sort of body. Um, and there's one part in the movie that kind of you could see that it's a person in a suit, but other than that, the way they shot the alien was perfect. You know, they didn't reveal the whole alien until they had to, and then the twist with the android there on him trying to, he was a bad guy. But great film. Even today, it holds up as one of the best films, sci-fi films ever made. So Ridley Scott knocked it out of the park. Aliens is going up there, and Super Alien. Need I say more? This film is talked about a lot because it's more of the action oriented of the two first films, but it still maintains a very good uh, suspense, despite the Marines going in and everything. Um, James Cameron did this, and by the way, watch both of the first two films director's cut because they have scenes added in there that do matter, and I think are should be part of the film. Um, they cut them for the theatrical cut probably because of runtime. I don't know, but Aliens is great. Again, another cool cast, like lots of crazy action bits, lots of suspenseful moments there. Of course, that's the film where you get the Bill Paxton character, game over, man, game over, for those that know. But great film, holds up today. Effects and practical effects and stages and all that is fantastic. And Sigourney Weaver, I mean, this is her franchise essentially. She's the one that was in the first four and is a face of the franchise as the protagonist here against the alien antagonists. So, yeah. Alien 3. Now, I remember me and my dad, we were in Florida at the time, and we went to a theater down there. I can't remember what it was called, and we were anticipating that. And I remember when we both walked out of there, we were like, "Eh." um, I think I hear a lot about this film about the corporation control or company messing around with the film. And it does feel like this film did have that because, for one, Michael Bean didn't return. And then the character of Newt, you know, I don't know what they were thinking there. And the original script that I believe Neil Blomkamp wrote, which a lot of people have read, including myself. I mean, if that was the film, it would have been so much better with single alien or multiple aliens and having like limited weapons to fight them with Hicks and Ripley kind of on this planet of prisoners. Uh, That would have been amazing. Like, they have a whole graphic novel on the aftermath of Aliens, and that would have been an awesome movie. But instead, because of company mockery or interference, we got the movie that we got. So it's going in meh. It has elements that are interesting, being on an alien planet, but like they take out two main characters that were from the previous film, which I right away, me and my dad were like, "What the hell?" Like it's really stupid. The cast there is fine, I guess. Um, you have the one interesting character, the doctor there, but they like take him out fast and like I don't know, and a prison planet with like there's a line actually in the film where Ripley's like, "You're on a maximum security planet with prisoners with no weapons," and that's exactly what this movie is. The shots of the alien, like with the camera work going fast, was fine, but I don't know, the alien in itself looked very artificial. Um, Certain parts, no, but it was an ultimate failure of a movie, and that's really what it comes down to. There's like two different cuts, but they don't matter. One is like the alien comes from some dog, I don't know, and the other they change where the alien came from or something. That's what I remember. And then they have the scene where you actually see them pull the crashed ship out of the water and bring like Ripley in, and yeah. But Alien Three is a it's watchable but not memorable. So um, Alien Resurrection. Yeah, that was a waste of time. For that one, I remember I waited until like New Year's Day that year to actually get in a bummy theater to see it. Because when I initially went to see it, a friend of mine didn't have his ID and we got kicked out of the theater. Go figure. But it wasn't worth the wait. Um, Ron Perlman couldn't save the film. Sigourney Weaver felt like she was phoning it in. Winona Ryder, her character was overplayed, I thought. Some of the action bits were interesting, like especially the best part was the underwater sequence where the aliens swimming after them, and that was probably the best part of the film. Um, with the events at the end of Alien Three that happen and the way that they use Ripley's character here is just come on. The alien designs were very off, especially with the super alien, I guess I'm going to call it at the end of near the climax of the movie. I don't know, the all around plot was stupid. The characters were a joke. Um, you know, it was just a bad alien film. Not the worst because you could watch Alien Resurrection for a guilty pleasure and laugh the hell out of it, as opposed to another one I'm going to talk about on this list. So let's go. Um, AVP. I'm gonna put that in meh. Um, it's entertaining enough. There are, uh, I guess, two major fights between the alien and the predator. Um, you got the cannon fodder cast except for the main actress. There, I don't remember her name. You have Wayland show up. Peter Weller reprising his role from part three. Um, fine. The predators look all right. The aliens look okay. The sets are cool. Um, but it's like one of those throwaway films that just is exactly that. It's a turn your brain off kind of movie. So I'll give it that. I would rather watch AVP over Alien 3, that's for sure. But it's meh. AVP Requiem goes in Game Over Man, hands down. I would rather watch Alien Resurrection over it. AVP Requiem is just gutter trash. The characters are stupid. You don't care about them. It's so dark the film that you can barely see anything. Especially watching it in the theater there, it was so dark even there, and you're like, what the hell's going on? They have the Pred alien show up here, and it's like a stupid decision design there. Oh, combine them both. That's going to be epic. No, it's not. Um, the story is just a waste of time. The actors seem like they're just there for a paycheck. You got like the only interesting part, I guess, was where it's what was it in the sewer, and then the predator kind of like sets these like laser mine things up, and I guess that's something. Waste of time. Absolute waste of time. I wouldn't even call this a guilty pleasure movie. It's just so downright moronic in all aspects of alien lore. Um, Prometheus. You know, after a while of watching it a couple times, I'm gonna put it in near flawless. Surprise, surprise for me, because I hated it initially. I did. But much like Interview with a Vampire, it grew on me. That was another film that I initially didn't care for, but it did grow on me the more I watched it, the more I kind of, I guess, studied it. Prometheus is not a perfect movie by any means, but I like the idea, the interesting idea of like the engineers, the underground area, the the sort of beginnings of creatures there. I mean the characters are dumbasses. Don't get me wrong. Like I, except for the Shaw character, who's was she the captain? I can't remember. But except for her, the rest of the characters are cannon fodder. And the reason that it's not down in ranking here is because I just like the sets, the intrigue of it. I don't know. It's weird to say, but like the if you're going in for like character development and everything, you're not going to find it here. Michael Fassbender is David. What can you say? He's fine as the role. He's the driving force of Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's a lot of interesting aspects here. But the issue is that like they're not carried on in Alien Covenant, which is why I'm going to rant about that one in a second. There are ideas here which I like, and that's why it's a near flawless. It's not a perfect film by any means, but I like the ideas and the Sean Shaw character, and there's like a really crazy scene with her. Uh, it's like, okay, I can dig this, just build on it, right? Alien Covenant is just so bad. I watched it once. That's how bad it is. I will not watch it again. They took ideas from Prometheus and just trashed it. They pretty much do away with the engineer idea in the film. And main focus is the David character and then this other crew that they just throw in the movie that you don't even really get to know. I believe, yeah, you had to watch a YouTube video to know the crew that ultimately their fate is decided. I mean, are you serious? Because in the opening of Alien Covenant, they smoke the character. some of the characters, which you don't get to know at all. And it's like, okay, um, a lot of ideas that were in Prometheus are just washed away here in Alien Covenant, and it's the Michael Fassbender show. That was a huge mistake of those two uh, prequel films. And I'll get to the show in a second, Alien Earth, but I feel that, like, at least in Prometheus, there was an evolution of the xenomorph there, and it could have been built really cool, right? Where in Alien Covenant, they just throw in things that are xenomorph related just because they weren't in Prometheus. That's how I feel about it. And again, like, I hated the film because it just took ideas and washed over them from Prometheus into Covenant and just said, we don't need this. And I'm that's it. Like, it's garbage. I would rather watch Alien Resurrection over it because I could laugh at that movie. Terrible alien film. Uh, I would watch AVP Requiem over it because Covenant really just made me mad. It's just like, well, what's the point of Prometheus then? All right, let's move on. Alien Romulus, I'm going to put a near flawless. Return to form, I think. It brought back the horror elements of Alien. It had a little bit of kind of like aliens in there. The cast is fine. Um, I think the main cast there, the little girl and the brother robot, were cool. Um, in the end, there they bring in kind of a Prometheus soul element. I kind of 50-50 on that. That's why it's a near flawless. But overall, I think Alien Romulus was cool. There was suspenseful parts in it. There's xenomorphs definitely in there. And I think that's a good way to bring it back the franchise to that horror element rather than um, straight out action or goofiness. And that's why I like Alien Romulus. I think it's not perfect, but I think it's a solid return after crappy uh alien films or not as good alien films prior. Um so and it takes place between the first Alien and Aliens, apparently. So you could actually watch Alien and then Alien Romulus and then Aliens. And that would be your trilogy, your kind of nice padded trilogy there, even though Alien Romulus is obviously newer. Um, and I watched all three in order, and it works. Again, it's not perfect, but it works. It works for me as a Alien trilogy, like three solid Alien films that work. The Alien Earth, the newest TV show based on the Alien franchise. And I just reviewed the first 7 episodes. It has one more to go, but I thought this deserved a ranking anyway, regardless of what happens in the 8th episode. I gotta put it in meh, because the first 4 episodes are the best, while as the last three were felt like downgrades, like I mentioned in my review. I'm not going to go all over this again because I said what I said in the review, but I do think that the show has potential to be awesome, and it's definitely going to get another season. And depending on what happens in the final episode of that of season one, can lead into a effective season two. They have really good characters, really good actors in it. The sets are great. The creature feature and effects and action bits are really good. And the reason it's not a near flawless is because of recent three episodes that feel like they are almost, well, I wouldn't, I guess season episode five, I wouldn't say is totally directionless because it kind of explains some elements on the previous four. But I feel that the character arc is kind of like going down a little bit here in the last three, except for Moro. But even in episode seven with Moro and what happens with him is kind of like, well, what was the point of all this? Unless it's going to be a climactic episode eight, which I hope it is. But it had potential, but I still see that there can be further potential to put it up in ranking. Okay. There are elements there of xenomorphs. There are elements there of suspense. There are elements there of connection to the first film, very first film in this entire franchise. Like, and there's connections there with aliens, even in that. So, and I would say a little bit of Romulus, but not overly. But it'd be cool if that, in season two, that kind of like yeah, it looks like a little nostalgia thrown at that film. But there's also elements I see that they're kind of taking from Prometheus, which includes the synthetics being kind of like, you have the xenomorphs and the synthetics kind of like being the one and two punch, which they've really done in most of these films. Let me think. Um, yeah, I'd say most of them. Not so much Alien 3, Alien 4, no. And then AVP films, not really, but those are throwaways anyway. But overall, the synthetics and the xenomorphs have been kind of like the topic of conversation for this entire franchise, and kind of like, exploring life and death and the themes of aliens, which the Alien Earth does have. But I hope that at least episode 8 kind of like has a good climactic cliffhanger or something. And then with season 2, because I can't see why they wouldn't do season 2 here. Build on that. For at least the first four episodes that were good, to give us a good season 2 there, and see where it goes. Um, But that's my tier list for the Alien franchise at its current state. I'm not including comics and stuff like that. Uh, so there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have a nice day.